A shocking betrayal, a night that changed everything, and a secret that could destroy a family. Welcome to Dark Voices, where we unravel the darkest tales of human drama. A resounding slap broke the silence. Mr. Miller, Ashley Miller's father, seethed with anger as he demanded, "Who is the father of the child you carry? You disgraceful disgrace." "Dad, I don't know him," Ashley tearfully replied, her father's violent actions leaving their mark on her face. "How dare you claim ignorance? Is that what I taught you? To bet every man you come across? You have brought shame upon this family, Ashley," Mr. Miller spat, consumed by fury. "I'm sorry, Dad. I truly am," Ashley sobbed, pleading with her father. "Sorry, you say? What exactly are you sorry for? Getting pregnant at 18 or subjecting this house to a bastard child? Which of these offenses weighs heavy on your conscience?" Mr. Miller's words echoed in the room, leaving Ashley speechless and in tears. She had no idea that one impulsive mistake would lead to her downfall. But what led to this devastating moment? Stay tuned to Dark Voices as we dive deeper into Ashley's heart-wrenching story. From today onward, I, Isaac Miller, disown you, Ashley, as my daughter. Leave this house and never let me set eyes on you again. Mr. Miller's voice boomed, causing Ashley to flinch. Her father had just severed their ties, and Ashley felt a wave of icy despair wash over her. Dad, please, I'm sorry. I have nowhere else to go. Have mercy on me. I'm your daughter, for God's sake," Ashley pleaded on her knees while her father had already turned his back to her. "Daddy, forgive my sister. She made a mistake by sleeping with a stranger, tarnishing our family's name. But surely you can find it in your heart to forgive her, right, Daddy?" Isabella, Ashley's stepsister, and the one responsible for all this chaos, deceitfully interjected, attempting to salvage the situation. "Just look at your sister, Isa. Why can't you be more like her, Ashley? She surpasses you in every way," Mr. Miller remarked, causing a surge of resentment to course through Ashley's veins. She had believed that her actions had upset her father. But now, with Isa's pretentiousness and her father's comments, Ashley's anger boiled over. "Dad, how could you say such things? I have spent my entire life doing nothing but trying to please you. I have obeyed your every command without question, even though they were often meant for an adult. And now you compare me to your illegitimate child." Ashley's eyes filled with both tears and anger as she confronted her father. Slap, the sound resonated through the room. Mrs. Green, Ashley's stepmother, and Isa's biological mother, despised Ashley from the start. Moreover, she loathed being reminded of her own role as a mistress. Slapping is the only action you are capable of executing. Why, have I hit the mark? However, that is the truth. As a result of your actions, my mother passed away. Because of you, I have become a mere puppet controlled by my father. Because of you and your child, I am being forcibly evicted from my own home. The house that once belonged to a joyful family has now transformed into a house consumed by grief, Ashley boldly asserted directly to Mrs. Green's face. It seemed as though Mrs. Green had received 1,000 slaps all at once. "Miller, observe how your daughter treats me. She possesses no respect for me whatsoever. This has always been the case whenever you are absent," Mrs. Green disingenuously began to cry, further adding fuel to Mr. Miller's anger. "You ungrateful child. Is this how you behave in my absence?" Mr. Miller swiftly approached Ashley and seized her neck, strangling her. Ashley struggled against her father's grip, but to no avail. His intention seemed to be to bring about her demise. Isabella hurried to her father, well aware that he might indeed kill Ashley. "Dad, stop it. Please stop it. You will truly kill her," she pleaded while attempting to free Ashley, but her efforts were in vain. "Then let her die," Mr. Miller declared, still gripping Ashley's throat. My mother's spirit shall haunt you all down," Ashley managed to utter through her constricted voice, causing Mr. Miller to immediately release his hold on her. Ashley collapsed onto the floor, coughing intensely and gasping for breath. Her father had nearly succeeded in ending her life, leaving her even more shattered in her heart. "Now get out of my house," Mr. Miller shouted at Ashley, seemingly forgetting that she was the child he had brought into the world with his beloved deceased wife, Ashley's mother. Ashley fled from the living room to her own bedroom. With tear-filled eyes, she started to pack her belongings when her door swung open. Ashley turned to see who it was, and unsurprisingly, it was Isabella. How pitiful you are, Ashley." "I have finally managed to expel you from this house," Isabella said mockingly. However, to her dismay, she noticed Ashley smirking. Isabella's laughter abruptly ceased, and she rushed towards Ashley. Isabella raised her hand to slap Ashley, but Ashley caught hold of her wrist. "Don't you ever dare, Isabella," Ashley warned her menacingly. "Yes, I am leaving this wretched house for you and your mother, the mistress. Knowing that you will forever depend on my mother's inheritance is the greatest shame I can bestow upon you," Ashley stated with a smirk. "Don't dare to call my mother a mistress, Ashley," Isabella retorted angrily. But Ashley swiftly pulled her hand behind her back, causing Isabella to cry out. "I will refer to your witch of a mother however I wish. Do I make myself clear?" Ashley said, and pushed Isabella from her way and picked up her bag. She was about to walk out of her room when Isabella said something which made her stop in her tracks. Upon nearing the exit of her room, Ashley abruptly halted and redirected her attention towards Isabella's unexpected statement. "My dear, pitiful sister, why do you gaze at me in such a way?" "Yes, you heard correctly. James and I are becoming engaged, Ash," Isabella declared with a self-satisfied smirk. Witnessing Ashley's speechlessness brought joy to her. Contrarily, Ashley felt deeply betrayed and wounded. If it weren't for Isabella and James engaging in sexual activity on her birthday, she wouldn't have found herself in a room with a stranger, engaging in intercourse. All of her misfortune sprung forth from Isabella and her 5-year-long relationship with James. The pain was excruciating. However, Ashley would not grant Isabella the pleasure of witnessing her suffering. She let out a sarcastic laugh, much to Isabella's surprise. "Well then, congratulations to the most repugnant couple in existence, my stepsister and my boyfriend of 5 years, who engaged in sexual relations on my birthday. Utterly disgusting. You know what, ISA?" Ashley stepped closer to Isabella and whispered in her ear, "You are the sole individual who will cherish a discarded piece of toilet tissue." Ashley left a seething Isabella behind in her room. Isabella was both shocked and taken aback. It mattered not whether Ashley had witnessed her and James in bed. Rather, what troubled her was why Ashley had remained silent about it all this time. She trailed after Ashley downstairs, knowing that James would soon be arriving to visit her. Isabella did not wish for James and Ashley to have a conversation unbeknownst to her. Ashley spotted her emotionless father seated in his chair in the hallway upon reaching the bottom of the staircase. Mrs. Green was seated next to him. Ashley felt a pang in her heart as she observed her father treating her as a stranger. "Ash, my dear, do you have any money?" "If you require financial assistance, I am willing to provide," Mrs. Green mischievously inquired. Mrs. Green's pretentiousness made Ashley feel nauseated. She was certain that both Mrs. Green and Isabella could win an Oscar if they were actresses. "Don't you dare give her any money. She should turn to the father of her unborn child for support," Mr. Miller snapped at his wife. Ashley wasn't at all surprised by her father's remarks. She knew he was capable of saying even worse things, and it hurt. It pained her that her biological father treated her like refuse. Nevertheless, she would not allow them the satisfaction of witnessing her breakdown. "Mrs. Green, in case you are suffering from selective amnesia, allow me to remind you," she paused, a steely determination in her eyes. It was evident by the wicked smirk on Ashley's face as she exclaimed, "All of these luxurious things, the house belonging to the Miller Company and the money you are enjoying, they are all from my mother." Determined to assert her independence and make everyone aware of their place, Ashley had made the decision to leave the house her mother had built for her and the man claiming to be her father. Mr. Miller, feeling the urge to strike Ashley once again, was abruptly halted when he heard her words. "Go ahead and slap me. That's the only thing you're capable of. Why are you stopping? Don't you find pleasure in satisfying your mistress and your illegitimate child by slapping me?" Ashley shouted defiantly at her father, finally having reached her limit. How can you speak to your father like that, Ashley? Mrs. Green interjected, hoping to calm the situation. With a sarcastic laugh, Ashley replied to Mrs. Green. It seems like you've lost touch with reality, Mrs. Green. Have you forgotten that this man in front of me disowned me not long ago? I'm no longer his daughter, remember? And let me ask, did I say something wrong? Isn't it true that he married my mom when he had nothing and was destitute? A lone tear fell from Ashley's eye as she finished speaking. Unable to control his anger any longer, Mr. Miller slapped Ashley once again. His frustration stemmed from the painful reminder of his past. Ashley started to contemplate getting her ears checked as she had received numerous slaps in a single day. However, Ashley refused to back down. Wow, Mr. Miller, the truth really stings, doesn't it? Ashley unleashed her burning rage upon her father. Are you ashamed of your past? Ashamed that you betrayed the woman who helped you when you were a nobody? Are you even aware that you have an illegitimate child somewhere conceived behind her back? Get out of here now. Mr. Miller shouted. I'm already leaving. I hope my mom's ghost haunts all of you until your graves, Ashley spat before turning to make her exit. As the doorbell rang, Ashley paid no mind to whoever was visiting. However, Isabella, realizing it was James at the door, quickly rushed to open it. Isabella cursed under her breath, desperately hoping that Ashley and James wouldn't cross paths. Unfortunately, luck wasn't on her side. Glancing over, Ashley unexpectedly laid her eyes upon her ex-boyfriend of 5 years and his sister, who used to be her closest friend. Though shocked, she managed to conceal her emotions and walked past them without acknowledging their presence. Having endured enough humiliation from her family, she didn't want to waste any more time on them. James inquired of Ashley if she was departing from the residence upon noticing her with bags. In reaction, Ashley was overwhelmed with anger. How dare he? For your information, you shall address me as Ashley. Furthermore, it is absolutely none of your concern whether or not I am vacating this household, Ashley retorted sharply. If only James and her stepsister hadn't betrayed her, none of these unfortunate events would have occurred. She wouldn't have engaged in intimate relations with a stranger, and she wouldn't have conceived at the tender age of 18. Ashley, please refrain from being discourteous. James simply inquired out of genuine concern for your well-being, Isa defended James, her words laced with hurt. Fear not, Isa. Ashley's behavior simply stems from her shame over her actions, which is why she cannot even bear to look at my brother, Cassandra, James's sister, and Ashley's closest friend, scoffed. Ashley couldn't believe her ears. She stood frozen in her tracks. It was undeniably true that one discovers their true foes during times of trouble. She turned her body to face all those responsible for making her life unbearable. Cassandra, I couldn't care less about your opinion of me. At least I possess the decency to not engage in such shameless acts as your imbecilic brother and my foolish sister, who indulged in their own desires at the hotel on my birthday, Ashley sneered. Ashley smirked upon hearing gasps from her father and Mrs. Green. Cries of shock emanated from Cassandra as if Ashley had delivered a physical blow to her face. What does she mean by that, Isabella? Mr. Miller demanded angrily. However, that was Ashley's last concern, as if the forces of nature themselves were against her. Rain began pouring as soon as she departed from the house. Ashley felt wretched and alone, contemplating her predicament as an 18-year-old with a child within her womb, devoid of money and shelter. She knelt outside the main gate of their house, succumbing to tears. Her weeping soon escalated into wailing. She had been disowned by her father, the one who was meant to love her unconditionally. Her heart ached unbearably. Although she maintained a facade of strength in front of her family, only she truly understood the depths of her inner turmoil. What happens next? Will Ashley find a way to rise from this betrayal, or will her story take an even darker turn? Stay with Dark Voices to find out. Adjacent to where she wept, a luxurious car was parked, within which sat a man discreetly observing the pitiful girl crying in the rain, unbeknownst to her. 2 months ago, Flashback. In the early morning, Isabella shook Ashley, who was still sound asleep, urging her to wake up. Sis, today is your special day. Wake up and let's celebrate, Isabella exclaimed, feigning excitement. Ashley grumbled as she sat up, irritated by the disturbance. What do you want, Isabella? Don't you have anything better to do than ruin my peaceful sleep? Are you determined to ruin everything, including my rest? Isabella appeared hurt by Ashley's words, pouting and causing her eyes to well up with tears. Ash, is it that difficult for you to see that I'm trying to improve our relationship? Why do you always see me in the worst light? Ashley was taken aback. Isabella was a master at acting, always playing the victim. Just tell me why you came into my room, Isabella, Ashley sighed, inquisitive. Isabella smiled and revealed her purpose. Today is your birthday, Ash, and guess what? I'm throwing a party for you tonight at Plaza Hotel starting at 7 p.m. sharp, Isabella announced cheerfully. Isabella, what kind of game are you playing this time? I'm tired of your tricks. Please, just let me have one peaceful day, Ashley pleaded, feeling frustrated. She ran her fingers through her long black curly hair, a source of envy for Isabella. Come on, Ash. I promise I'm not playing any games or tricks. I know we haven't had the best relationship, and I understand if you don't trust me. But I want us to be real sisters. That's why I'm throwing this party as a form of apology and a fresh start for our sisterhood, Isabella said sincerely. Ashley stared at Isabella, suspicious of her sudden kindness. Isabella had never shown such generosity towards her unless she had ulterior motives. However, Ashley hadn't celebrated her birthday in the past 2 years. So, she considered accepting Isabella's offer. She got out of bed and hugged Isabella, trying to embrace the idea of a genuine sisterly connection. Unbeknownst to Ashley, Isabella wore a devilish smile on her face. Everything was going according to plan. Thank you, Isa, Ash said, though she still harbored doubts about the birthday party. But as the birthday girl, she felt obligated to attend. You're welcome, sis. Now, get ready to shine tonight because I also invited your James, Isa said, seemingly genuine in her happiness for her sister. Oh, I almost forgot, Ash. Dad, Mom, and I bought you a birthday dress as a gift, Isabella added and showed her the dress which was inside the big box she was holding. With a smile, Ashley's eyes lit up at the sight of the dress. It's absolutely gorgeous, she murmured. Unbeknownst to Ashley, Isabella maintained her mischievous smirk. There's still plenty of time before the party. Why don't you just enjoy yourself for a bit? Because your life is bound to change after tonight, Isa said, feigning happiness. Ashley wasn't fond of Isa's last statement. What do you mean, Isa? Ashley asked, her eyebrows furrowing. Come on, Ash. What I meant was that our lives will be inseparable from tonight onwards, Isa explained, uttering yet another lie. Ashley simply nodded in understanding. All right then, Ash. I'll take my leave now so that I can get ready. Okay, Isabella said, hugging Ashley one more time before exiting. As Isabella reached for the doorknob, the door swung open. Mr. Miller entered, accompanied by Mrs. Green. Happy birthday, Princess. I heard you're going to celebrate in style this year. I wish I could be there with you to celebrate your special day, Mr. Miller said to Ashley, his words laced with love, which brought tears to her eyes. Ashley embraced her father tightly. Thank you, Dad, she said, her voice filled with emotion. Mrs. Green and Isabella seethed with anger as they witnessed the father-daughter moment. Happy birthday, Ash, Mrs. Green said, deliberately cutting short their hug. It felt like a slap in the face for her, realizing that her husband would never love her as much as he loved his daughter. Isabella was the first to leave Ashley's room. As soon as she closed the door behind her, she couldn't help but giggle to herself. Oh, my poor sister Ashley. Tonight marks the beginning of your nightmare, she smirked, heading to her room to prepare quickly. Plaza Hotel. As the clock struck 8:29 p.m., the party at the Plaza Hotel was in full swing. Ashley scanned the room, but there was no sign of her boyfriend or Isabella. She decided to step out of the dancing hall in search of them, but stumbled along the way. Additionally, she couldn't understand what was wrong with her, but she was astute enough to realize that something was off. Her drink had likely been spiked with a drug. She shook her head, attempting to clear her foggy vision. She approached the doors of the hotel rooms, trying to open them one by one without success due to the lack of a card key. After a while, she attempted again and heard the sound of moans and bodies colliding. Her world came crashing down as she pushed open the door, which surprisingly hadn't been properly locked. Those moans came from her boyfriend and her stepsister, who were having a hot session in front of Ashley's naked eyes. With a shattered heart and tears, Ashley silently slipped away, refusing to let them catch a glimpse of her. The Westwood family across from the same hotel, the Westwood family congregated. This family, recognized as the wealthiest in the nation, owned a multitude of businesses and properties around the globe. Gatherings at the Plaza Hotel had become a customary monthly event for the Westwoods. Determined to claim the position of CEO at DWC, Steve Westwood couldn't comprehend why his grandparents had inexplicably handed the company over to David Westwood, his detested cousin. David possessed remarkable abilities and consistently achieved what most considered impossible thanks to his sharp intellect and resourcefulness. Unwavering, David focused all his time and energy on the family business. When he assumed control of the company 5 years prior, it was in a critical state due to Steve's mismanagement and inappropriate handling of company funds. At the time, Steve had been the acting CEO. Driven by his immaturity, Steve's grandparents decided to bestow the company upon David, his cousin. David proved himself to be far more capable and competent than Steve. He did everything in his power to salvage the company, which was on the brink of collapse due to Steve's actions. However, Steve never allowed him the peace he deserved. He consistently plotted against David in an attempt to regain the CEO position. Once again, Steve's parents called for a family meeting today with the sole agenda of convincing David to hand over the company to Steve. Yet, their efforts were always in vain. David had no interest in attending today's meeting, as he believed it to be a waste of his time. However, his grandparents implored him to join them, promising that it would be the final time they would subject him to such an unnecessary gathering. Unable to refuse his grandparents, David begrudgingly attended. At the hotel entrance, David and his grandparents encountered Steve and his parents. David maintained an air of indifference, which only fueled Steve's anger. Approaching David, Steve placed his right hand on his cousin's shoulder. "Don't you dare touch me," David icily warned him. "Oh, dear cousin, don't be so petty. Remember, we are family." "Oh, I don't see your parents here. Have they not returned from their travels yet? How could they bring you into this world and then forget about you?" "TSK, tisk," Steve goaded, hoping for a reaction from David. To his dismay, David found that Steve's mockery did not faze him in the slightest, which only served to further infuriate Steve. Under his breath, Steve growled at David, emphasizing his seniority and asserting his claim to DWC. In a cold, unwavering tone, David retorted, challenging Steve to reclaim what was supposedly his. However, Steve's response was nothing short of sinister as he smirked and assured David that not only would he lose DWC, but he would also be completely forgotten by the end of their upcoming meeting. With a whispered threat, Steve left David standing at the entrance, feeling puzzled and unsure of what Steve had planned. As David contemplated the looming family meeting, a sense of foreboding washed over him. Although he couldn't pinpoint the exact cause, he knew deep down that something unsettling was on the horizon. An hour before the discovery of Isabella and James' betrayal, Ashley expressed her discomfort to her stepsister. The noisy environment in the hotel club made her feel like her eardrums were about to burst. Isabella, however, urged Ashley to enjoy herself to the fullest, reminding her that it was her special day. Unbeknownst to Isabella, Ashley had no desire to celebrate her birthday in such a manner. In search of her boyfriend, James, Ashley questioned Isabella. Isabella reassured her that James was likely just around the corner. Moments later, James arrived with drinks for both Isabella and Ashley. His gestures towards Ashley left her blushing while Isabella, annoyed, rolled her eyes. As they silently sipped their drinks, James asked Ashley for a dance, which she happily accepted. "My lovely lady, please have a dance with me," James gestured, and Ashley chuckled at his gesture. Their bodies swayed on the dance floor, watched by Isabella, who glared at Ashley with intense hatred. Isabella muttered angrily to herself, knowing that Ashley's fantasy would soon come to an end. Excusing herself to use the restroom, Isabella gave James a significant look before departing. Drowsiness overcame Ashley as she danced with James, causing her discomfort. Confused as to why she felt this way, Ashley questioned James about the contents of her drink. Denying any alcohol in her drink, James offered to take her to a room for some rest, ensuring that she wouldn't leave the celebration early. Unaware of what was to come, Ashley agreed. Unbeknownst to Ashley, Isabella observed everything from a nearby corner. Her devilish smile indicated that her plans were going as intended. Having taken Ashley to one of the hotel rooms, James left her on the bed and stepped outside. Upon exiting, he came face to face with Isabella. The two engaged in passionate kissing before eventually pulling away. "Are the guys prepared?" James inquired of Isabella. "Absolutely. The cameras are also perfectly positioned. I am eagerly anticipating showing our family tomorrow," Isabella replied with joy. "Indeed, same here," James agreed, giving Isabella a tight embrace. "Come, darling. Let's go and have some fun. The boys will be here soon to tend to her. Dear Ashley, don't blame me for taking everything away. I am merely reclaiming what was rightfully mine." Isa glanced at the door, making her statement before departing with James. Ashley, despite feeling drowsy, could not find sleep. She rose from the bed and decided to venture outside for a breath of fresh air. Something felt amiss within her body. Thankfully, the door was unlocked. She left the room, stumbling as she made her way. Despite her unsteady gait, she managed to reach the entrance leading outside the hotel. Unfortunately, she nearly tumbled to the ground. Yet, a helping hand caught her just in time. In her drowsy state, Ashley looked up to see the individual who had saved her. However, blurred vision and sleepiness prevented her from identifying the person's face. Everything around her seemed hazy. "Are you all right?" the person inquired. Ashley could only respond with a nod. The stranger released their grip on her, and she stumbled once more. "I apologize, sir. I am feeling quite drowsy," Ashley addressed the person whose identity remained unknown to her. "Then you should not be out here," the person scolded her. "I simply require some fresh air. I cannot comprehend what is wrong with me. I have not even consumed a drop of alcohol. So why do I feel this way?" Ashley mused aloud, though the stranger overheard. "Pardon me, miss," the person called out. "Yes, young master," a young woman approached them. "Provide her a seat in that vicinity and prepare a glass of milk with a dash of salt. She's feeling drowsy. Afterwards, guide her to the restroom and assist her in splashing cold water on her face. It shall provide some stability," the individual instructed the server. "Understood, young master." "Madam, would you kindly accompany me?" the server kindly addressed Ashley. Ashley nodded as her mind was not functioning in that moment. Before departing, she caught the stranger saying, "You are too young to be in a place like this." In the midst of her drowsiness, Ashley mustered a small smile and directed her attention towards the man standing before her. "I didn't come here alone," she revealed. "Accompanying me are my sister and my boyfriend. Today happens to be my birthday, although I must admit that this isn't exactly my preferred type of place." Expressing her gratitude, Ashley continued, "Mister, even though I visually perceive 3 individuals in your proximity, deep down I understand that you are the sole individual present. Please pardon my weariness. Despite my inability to view your countenance, your aroma is detectable to me." Amused and bewildered, the man inquired, "You can perceive my smell?" "Definitely," Ashley affirmed with a nod, supplementing, "I meant to say that while I can't see your face, your fragrance is pleasing. Thus, you may possibly possess good looks." "Thank you, Mr. Handsome." The man found himself at a loss for words, captivated by the young girl before him. Interrupting their exchange, an elderly woman, who turned out to be calling the man by the name David, caught Ashley's attention. "David," she murmured to herself. Prior to his departure, David entrusted Ashley's care to a server, delivering his instructions with a flourish. Astonished yet captivated by Ashley's charm, the server complied, treating her with utmost tenderness, taking into account her youthful appearance. Feeling considerably better due to the server's assistance, Ashley expressed her gratitude before embarking on a search for James and Isabella. However, a lingering desire to leave the premises persisted within her. Despite her improved state, the longing to return home remained prominent. The dance hall served as Ashley's initial hunting ground for her companions. Yet, they eluded her gaze. According to a